Hello, I'm Burt Green. This is the Burt Locker. I've been away for a little while. I'll be honest, there's not been a lot of fight cards that I've been as interested in as UFC 319. So this is my preview show for UFC 319. I was just literally going through the card because I wanted to place a couple of bets, and I was just like, do you know what? This needs an actual, like, kind of full-length video. I say full-length, it'll be about 10 minutes or so, just because, my goodness, the amount of fighters jumping off the screen for me as I went through it. So early prelims, you've got Alibidi Idris against Joseph Morales. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm familiar with either of these two gentlemen. What I will tell you is that anybody who's fighting out of Kazakhstan and is a minus 455 on the Vegas odds sheet is probably going to win. But the first fight that really jumped off the page for me was the women's flyweight, who opens up the prelims. Karine Silva takes on Dione Barboza. Dione Barboza, I thought she was perhaps related to Edson Barboza. She is. She's his wife, apparently. Edson Barboza's wife. Good for her. Like, fighting family. Edson's also further up the card. Just, spoiler alert. I don't think she'll win against Karine Silva. If I'm being honest, Karine Silva is an absolute savage. I love watching her fight. For me, like Karine Silva, I've seen her get some of the slickest submissions. She got a knee bar. I can't remember who it was on, but she did this knee bar that basically almost broke this poor girl's leg in half. She's an absolute submission monster. She's really very high level. I think she probably gets the submission in that one. Edson Barboza fights next. Oh, wow. So, yeah, they're literally fighting one after the other. Fighting Drakkar Klose. I think he's German-ish, but he fights out of the United States. Either way. Drakkar Klose, he's quite a big lump. He's big, he's thick, and he hits hard. But I would say that Barboza, he's taller, he's rangier, he's probably in better shape. He's got the reach. His legs are longer. His striking is going to be better. I think you see where I'm going with this. I think Edson Barboza wins that one. I'm not exactly sure how. The fight's taking place at lightweight, so Barboza's going back up to lightweight. I think that's a good move. As he gets older in his career, the weight cut gets harder and harder. He went down to featherweight and he looked really good. The thing is, with Barboza, he has some fights where where it's like, well, the wheels are falling off and he's now finished. But then he has a fight where he looks absolutely outstanding. You can never count that dude out. He's got some of the best Muay Thai that we've ever seen in mixed martial arts. Not just the UFC. He's that good. I don't think Drakkar Klose necessarily has the grappling to worry him and take the fight out of the stand-up, which is what you need to do against a guy like Barboza. I take Barboza in that one all day. Chase Hooper takes on Alexander Hernandez. That's an interesting one, actually. Chase Hooper, he's really grown into his UFC career. I think he's a real problem. He's tall for the weight class. He's 6'1". They're fighting at lightweight, 155. Alexander Hernandez, he is good. He's no slouch, honestly. He's good everywhere. I just think that Chase Hooper is probably better everywhere. So I'll take Chase Hooper in that one. Jessica Andrade against Lupe Godinez. Now, this one interests me because now I love Lupe Godinez. She's really, really active. She's very good. She goes through a decision quite a lot of time, but she's very active. Is she technically the best? No, I don't think she needs to tighten up some aspects of her game. Jessica Andrade is probably the best person she's ever fought. Now, you're getting Andrade as an underdog in this one. You're getting her plus 2.2 on Sky Bet at the moment. And I think that's an interesting betting line because as much as I like Lupe Godinez, I do I put her in the same bracket as Jessica Andrade? And I don't think I do. I think that Jessica Andrade probably wins that one. I don't exactly know how. I'd lean towards submission, but I think that there's at least some value there on Jessica Andrade. Look, obviously, either one of those could win that fight. I'm not going to pretend any different. But looking at where they are in their career, I think that this might be a step too far for Godinez, but we'll see. Gerald Meerschaert against Mikhail Oleksienczuk, I think is how you say that. Apologies, I'm murdering that pronunciation, and apologies as well. I'm also picking against you. Gerald Meerschaert, he's a submission machine. What's he got? Like 30 odd submissions? He's got, like, I don't even know what the stat is. I know that he's got a lot of submissions on his record. I've seen him just do it to too many people. I've seen him do it to people who, with the greatest of respect, are probably slightly better than Alexis Shenek. Alexis Shenek's good. He's really good. He's got really good boxing. He's got a very good left hand. Look, if it stays in boxing range and he clips in, Miocic, he could get tagged as well. But if Miocic gets this to the ground, I think he submits him relatively easily. And I think that's what's going to happen. My money will be going on Gerald Miocic by submission in that one. GM3. You can never count him out. The next fight, Basinger Susarakev. He must be some sort of big deal from Russia because he's minus 950 on the Vegas odds sheet against Eric Nolan. I'll be totally honest, I'm not familiar with either of those two. So, honestly, I'm not betting on that fight. But if I was going to bet on that fight, my money would be on the Russian who's got minus 950 on the Vegas odds sheet. I'm sure he's got a lot of hype behind him. I'm sure I'll hear all about it in the comment section. So, yeah, go ahead. Let me know. Let me know who he is, please. Tim Elliott, they just dragged him out of the woods. Look at the state of Tim Elliott now. Jesus Christ, the guy that fought Mighty Mouse after he won the Ultimate Fighter series where the prize was a title fight against the Mighty Mouse. And honestly, he actually did a pretty good job against Kai Asakara. Now, the UFC are desperate for a Japanese champion, and so are Japan. Kai Asakara is probably their best shot at this time. He's really well-rounded. He's very, very good. Saw him through like the road to the UFC, the Asian tournament thing that they do. He's really very, very good. Tim Elliott's probably the biggest test for him so far. It makes sense. 15th, taking on 11th. I don't know where Tim Elliott's been living. It looks like he's been living out in a wooden cabin. Fair play to him. He might take some beating, actually. He looks scary with the massive beard and long hair. I think, but my money would go on Kai Asakara on that one. Jared Cannonier against Michael Venom Page. Now, this one's very, very interesting because you're getting Jared Cannonier as an underdog in this one. And look, I like Michael Venom Page. I'm a fan of Michael Venom Page. He's also English, so I tend to lean, because I'm a patriot, goddamn patriot, I tend to lean towards him. I just think if Cannonier grabs a hold of him and uses his wrestling, I think he's big enough and strong enough to just hold MVP down and just do damage and ground. And let's not forget, power for power, Cannonier is much more powerful. He packs a harder punch than MVP. I'm not out of my mind in saying that. MVP is better, more elusive. His striking is technically better. He's got enough power to obviously knock people out. Cannonier is a big old lump. He's going to take some hitting if you're going to try and knock him out. I just think that, MVP, if he stays at range, he's 6'3", he's got the 2-inch reach advantage there or thereabouts. If he stays on the outside and uses his point fighting, which we all know he can do, if he does that, then yeah, he's probably going to get a decision and run rings around Cannonier for 3 rounds. But Cannonier looked very good in his last fight, and I just think that he has the power, and if he gets him up against the fence and gets a hold of him, I don't see MVP stopping him. And you're getting him as an underdog in that, so like getting him plus 2.5, which I think isn't a bad price. Jeff Neal against Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates is the Fighting Nerds guy, Muay Thai wizard, like huge power, smokes like a chimney. Absolutely love the dude. Absolutely love him. He's old school. Jeff Neal, Hands of Steel. They call him Hands of Steel for a reason, because he has big power in those hands. Will he be slick enough to catch Carlos Prates? I don't think so. I think Prates takes Jeff Neal out in the first or second round. I see a knockout in that one. Leroy Murphy against Aaron Pico. This one is a huge one. Aaron Pico, he's that wrestler that came up from Bellator, and he's got some real power in his hands as well, particularly his left hook. He's so powerful, and his wrestling is unbelievable. Leroy Murphy, yet to be beaten, is just a fantastic all-round fighter. His wrestling defense is brilliant. His kickboxing is unbelievable. I just think that Leroy Murphy, he's an underdog in that one. I think he's being slightly underestimated here. I think that he takes Aaron Pico out. Maybe not takes him out, but at least wins that fight. That's where my money's going, on Leroy Murphy. Dricus du Plessis against Khamzat Chimaev in the main event. Now, most people, there's a lot of people saying that Hamzat is going to just roll through Dricus du Plessis, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think that is necessarily the case. Because I mentioned Dricus long before he was in the UFC. I've had my eye on him for a long time. I said that he was going to be the middleweight champion, and look at that. There he is. He's got a physicality that people struggle to match. He's got a physicality that people really struggle to contend with. And that's one thing that people always say when they fight Dricus, is like, that man is strong. Look, he came up in South Africa in their sports system. Like, look at their South African rugby system, man. They basically wean them on steroids. Like, I'm not throwing any accusation. I'm just saying that like he's got the bone density of a Dutch South African. Look at those rugby players, right? He comes from that stock, right? That's a scary ass human being. Now, I'm not saying Hamzat is also a very scary human being, but I only see one fighter being written off in this fight, and it's Dricus. And I think people are foolish to write him off. Realistically, either one of these men could win this fight. I'm not pretending any different. Either one of these, I could picture either one of these guys getting their hand raised. But I could see any scenario. I only see one of these guys getting written off, and it's Dricus. And I think that it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake to do that. His striking is going to be far better than Hamzat's. His striking is unorthodox. He technically does everything wrong, but he also does everything right because that's his style. People can't quite track where he's going to hit them from. He hits them from angles that they're not expecting, and it's difficult to get training partners to replicate Dricus' style. Also, people think that, that Hamzat's just going to go in there and grab him and take him down. It's like, Hamzat has only ever really fought welterweights. Like, let's be fair. Even when he fought Usman at middleweight, let's be fair, Usman is a welterweight. And arguably, he lost that. He lost a lot of steam in that fight. Same with Gilbert Burns. He didn't have it all his own way. People forget that. After that massive, he started very, very fast. But if you can weather that early storm, and I think Dricus is more than capable of doing that, then he takes a deep breath, and all of a sudden, he can't quite keep up anymore. And Dricus will put a pace on you from start to finish. We've seen him do it. He looks tired, and he's already said he is tired. Look, I am tired, but I just go through it. I just get it done. And that's a mindset thing. Does Hamzat have the mindset to do that? Because I haven't always seen that in his fights. He hasn't always shown that. He hasn't always gotten to the fight. He's pulled out of an awful lot of fights. Right? Now, I think that the flip side of it is there's some people that in Hamzat's camp and so on and so forth saying that Hamzat plans to start slower, like this one, more measured. But is that going to work against Dricus? Because if you start slow against Dricus, he's just going to put a pace on you and put a beating on you. And then all of a sudden he's hitting you with these hands, and he's hitting you with a kind of power that you were not expecting. You go in to try and take him down, all of a sudden he just shrugs it off because he's big, he's huge. He's the biggest guy that Hamzat's ever fought. Like, I mean, I know that, but in sparring, blah, 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 blah. That's sparring, dude. No one's really taking that seriously. If it was a real, it's not, it means something, but it's not the same. I'm sure that Dricus spars with people bigger than him. You know what I mean? But this is the first time that Hamzat has fought somebody who legit walks around at like 230 pounds. You think that it's a foregone conclusion that he just blasts through him? I think you're making a mistake. Now, again, like I said, maybe we see Hamzat just take him down and just submit him in first. I personally don't think that's going to happen. Is there a world where that happens? Obviously there is. Like, Hamzat's an absolute beast. I won't pretend that he isn't. But Dricus is not getting the respect that he deserves, in my humble opinion. I think that his kickboxing, his kicks especially, are really underrated. And if he clips Hamzat with something, he's going to knock him out. So I just think that, there's one person being written off, and it ain't Hamzat. I'm taking Dricus by knockout TKO in that one. Well, actually, I have actually put the double chance on, but I'll do. With that being said, yeah, like I said, so I'll take Dricus du Plessis to get his hand raised in that one. Now, my bets that I have put on, I'll quickly run through the bets because I've put on some bloody terrible ones. This is the terrible bets section. Burt Green's terrible bets. So we have got the win-loss. I've gone with Idris to win just because he's a massive favourite and he's from Kazakhstan, so why the hell not? I don't know much about that one. That's probably a mistake to put that on, honestly. Carini Silva, I like that one. Edson Barboza, Chase Hooper, Andrade, Meerchat, Asakara, Cannonier, Plattis, Murphy, and Duplessis all to win. That comes in at 857 to 1. So that's worth £2.50 for me. And then I've got another eightfold on. I'm taking Carini Silva by submission. I'm taking Edson Barboza to win. Jessica Andrade to win. Meerchat to win by submission. Cannonier to win any means necessary. Carlos Prates to win by knockout or TKO. Leroy Murphy to win. And Dreykus, double chance, TKO, knockout or submission. And that one comes in at 5,110 to 1. So I'm putting £2 on that as well. And then I have just got a treble that is, slightly more likely, I guess, although the cash out's gone down on it, so something must have happened. I'm taking Andrade to win, Meerchat by submission, Dreykus Duplessis by TKO knockout, and that's coming in at 60 to 1 on that one. So I think, I'll put a fiver on that. And that's all my bets, apart from the New York Jets to win the Super Bowl, 226 to 1. Never going to happen. Much like my UFC bets. So, that's UFC 319 in a nutshell. I'm very excited to watch it. This is one of the few times where I've looked at all the prelims and thought, you know what? They're all fights that I want to see. I'm going to be enjoying the hell out of this one. I hope you do too. And until next time, keep the odds long and the bets terrible.